evening, everybody, and welcome back to Cannon TV. Me, your host, Stephen. Good to see everybody tonight. We'll do a couple of quick introductions. First of all, joined by my co-host on Cannon Chatter, G. How are you tonight, G?
I'm good. I'm really good. As you can see, I've been demoted to the kitchen because my wife insists on watching Love Island while it's live for once. She's always complaining that the shows are at the same time. So I've given her the sitting room. Plus, it's a little bit cooler as well in the kitchen. My sitting room is literally like a sauna. But other than that, I'm really good. Looking forward to the show.
You got the fridge door open there with your feet in?
I've got a cold cider. That's as good as it gets. A cold cider.
Excellent. All right. Delighted to say we are joined by a great friend of the show, Chris Davison. Chris, how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Stephen. It's been a while, so it's good to be back on here again. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Yeah, it has been a while, and it's great having you back on with us. And once again, we are joined by the man with the worst internet in Britain. So we thought after the other night, we would give him another chance to come back on, and hopefully he's got it sorted this time. Keith, how are you, Keith?
I'm good, mate. Thank you. I have to give you full credit. You were my guru with telling me what I need to do with my internet. So fingers crossed. We've
Don't
dealt
say
with
that, because now if it goes wrong, it's my fault.
that's what I'm doing. I'm passing the buck. I'll throw you under the bus. But no, cheers for having me back on. It's appreciated, and
No problem.
hopefully all will be well.
Yeah, you didn't really get much time the other night to have your say on things, and we always like having you back on the channel anyway. So
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
obviously, quite a bit to get through tonight. You know, we're going to talk transfers, we're going to talk kit release, pre-season, a couple of other bits and pieces. So let's play the intro and we'll get into it.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's happened.
Okay, so for anybody joining us tonight for the first time, this is Cannon Chatter TV. This is our Monday night, the Rumour Mill, our weekly show rounding up all the transfer rumours from the last week. Now, it has only been, about 5 days since the last one. As this time last week, you guys were all sitting kind of crying into a beer or Coke or whatever it was, just having a wee tear over England's loss to Italy. Are you all over it now? Moved on?
Almost.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, until you reminded me, Stephen.
Sorry about that. All right.
I was feeling great before that.
Couple of quick comments before we get started. So, Mike, hi, Stephen, Keith, G, and Chris. How are you? Evening, Georgina. How are you? Wheezy J, good evening. Gary, evening. Captain Martin Walker, what's up, everyone? Mike, have you paid for your data, Keith? Sideline talk, reckon them pre-season streams have done you over, Keith. At least you're consistent, big a panel. Okay, right. So, yeah, all right, let's get into it. So we'll start off with the kit launch, because this shouldn't take too long. Let me just sort my screens out. So the new home kit was released on Friday. And I just wanted to get everybody's quick opinion on it. Well, Chris, you first. What's your thoughts on the new kit?
I'm a fan, just like I have been with all of Adidas's kits for us so far. It's got a simple look to it, but it's classy. They've obviously brought back the sort of the white side panels down the side of the shirt, yeah, it's a little different, but yeah, like I say, I'm a fan of it, and I think there was always going to be a little bit of skepticism, leading up to the launch. You see these sort of leaked pictures, the quality of them's not too good, and it's dividing opinion amongst the fan base. But now the proper pictures have been released. We've obviously seen it for ourselves as well, seen it on the players. it looks good. Yeah, I think Adidas have done a really good job once again.
Okay, Keith.
I loved it from the first moment I saw it. I know, like Chris said, people were a bit divided, and some were saying it's, well, you know, it's a little bit Ajaxy. It's very 1999, but I really, really like it. And ever since I saw the lads wearing it Saturday, I just like it even more now. So that will be my first next season purchase. I like it a lot.
Okay, G.
Yeah, I've got to admit, the first time I saw it, I wasn't too keen on it. And I think, you know, kind of what Chris said, I think a lot of it was to do with the kind of leaked images. Just wasn't really feeling it, to be honest. And obviously, I love the yellow one, which I've already got. But I've got to confess, Stephen told me earlier that Sports Direct were doing a little deal with regards name and number. So yeah, at 6, I'm just looking at the email, 6:20 this evening, I went and got myself one. So yeah, I'm a fan.
Nice.
Yes, yeah, I spotted the deal this morning. I was ordering kits. The boys had wanted new kits, so they both wanted the away kit because they had bought me that for Father's Day. So I found it, and obviously I'd seen Sports Direct were doing the free name and number, so I had to get them their name and number on the back of it. And I'm going to be honest with the home kit. I wasn't a fan, but like a lot of people, it's starting to grow on me. The one thing I'm not overly keen on, I don't like the blue stripes on the shoulder. I think those should be white, and then I think it would be mint then. But that kind of puts me off a little. But I'll probably still buy it. But I'm waiting to see who we sign before I get my free name and number on the back of it. What did you go for, G? Let me guess, Saka.
No, you know what? I had to keep it real this time. I went for myself.
Ah, fair enough.
I got Williams on the back end. I got my favorite number, which is 14. That's my birthday, and obviously King Thierry Henry as well. So I got Williams 14.
Fair enough. Okay, a couple more comments for the observant of you. You will notice that Lottie's not with us tonight, but she is watching along with her mum, Alison. So hello, Lottie and Alison. We thought that Lottie has done so much since she joined the channel that she really deserved a wee night off. She was supposed to get one the other week, but G couldn't make it that night, so she filled in for you. So Lottie, enjoy your night off, keep the feet up, and enjoy the show with your mum. And by the way, Alison, the tattoo was not my idea. It was Lottie's. So don't be letting me take the blame. Lottie's mum is actually a fan of Arsenal, and her partner, I believe, is a Spurs fan. So no accounting for taste, but you know, I do really want to get Lottie's mum on the show. So if anybody thinks that's a good idea, put your comments in now saying, come on the show, Lottie's mum, and we'll try and get her on some night. All right, we'll move on. So announcement today that we have finally signed another player, and that is the Belgian midfielder Albert Sambi Lokonga, who goes by Sambi. Here he is in his training kit. I'm going to come to you, Chris, because I know you've done a lot of work speaking with a Belgian journalist, and you've put together an article that you published the other night. And if anybody wants to read the article, it is in the description of this video. So just whenever you watch the video later on, just go down to the description, click the link, and you'll be able to catch up and read Chris's article. But Chris, take it away. Tell us what you know about Sambi.
Well, I think, you know, just before Sambi's name surfaced and was linked to Arsenal, a lot of Arsenal fans, myself included, weren't too familiar with him. So I decided to get in touch with a couple of highly respected Belgian journalists straight away, who were able to fill me in on him a bit more, really. And yeah, there's some excitement surrounding this one now, and I think that excitement is fair and justifiable. He's only 21 years of age, but he's been a captain for Anderlecht under Vincent Kompany. Very talented, great potential. He's played a little bit of a part in the Belgian national team as well. He was on the sort of the reserve list for them and their Euro 2020 campaign, just in case anyone pulled out and he was ready to sort of go in and replace them. Highly thought of by the likes of Roberto Martinez and obviously our legend Thierry Henry. I think if someone such as Thierry likes the look of someone, thinks they're talented, thinks they've got what it takes to reach the biggest stage of all, then like I say, that I think that excitement is justifiable. Apparently, Thierry was actually one of those who recommended Sambi to Arsenal. So it's an interesting one when it came about. Like I said, no one really knew much about him, but the more sort of you dug into his background, his career so far, I think he's going to be a really exciting player to keep an eye on. Like I say, he's still only 21. I think he's only made 78 odd appearances for Anderlecht in the senior side in the first team. So he's still got a lot of developing to go through. He's still got to improve as a player, a lot of learning to do. And because of that, he will need time. We will need to be patient with him. He's by far from the finished product, as they say. But he's a player who I think will come in to add extra depth, extra strength to our midfield. And obviously, that's an area which we are sort of getting a bit weaker on now, and we're losing some numbers there with the loss of Guendouzi. Obviously, Granit Xhaka is nearer to Rome at the moment as well. There's uncertainty surrounding Torreira, Willock, etc. So it was really important for Arteta to bring in some extra numbers in this area. And yeah, from speaking to the journalists for my article, great passer, great engine, really hardworking, really positive attitude as well. I think, the fact that he's been captain at the age of 21 highlights that. And obviously if Vincent Kompany, who's, as we all know, has been a fantastic leader in the past with his experience as well. It's a good sign. He obviously sees something in Sambi in order for him to give him that role. And I think what was interesting is that I think he initially started off as a winger at a young age, but the Anderlecht coaches could see that he was really not developing in that area. He wasn't really pushing on and doing a lot, offering the team much when he was playing in that position. So they've done their research and in the end gave him the central midfield role, box to box. And instantly they just begun to see a different player. He improved massively, showing his full potential, and he started enjoying his football for once. And he was in a position where he was helping the team a lot more and offering a lot more. So they kept him there, and that's where he's developed. I think, he's obviously at a young age, he struggled, but then he's got that mentality to sort of bounce back, work hard, and here he is now with a big move to Arsenal Football Club. It's paid off. So I'm really, like I said, I'm intrigued more than anything with this move and how it came about, sort of out of nowhere. I think it's safe to say he won't sort of be our starter next season. When Xhaka goes, then I think we'll look to bring in a bit more experience to replace him. But in terms of a rotational role, I think he'll do really well. He'll obviously learn a lot more. We've got a great team at the Emirates, who work with the youngsters and improve them. So yeah, I'm excited by it, and I'm really interested to see how he gets on.
Okay, I mean, that was one of the things I was going to ask you was, do you think he will be a starter? But obviously you've answered that. So from speaking to the journalists over there that have given you a little bit of insight, I mean, are they excited about the move for him? Do they think he's going to be a success in England, or do they think he's going to struggle in any way?
They are excited, yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, they've still got a little bit of skepticism around, how young he is and the room for improvement there is. They really reiterated that to me. They said you've got reasons to be excited. There was some top clubs after him, a lot of teams looking at him, and for his age, the quality he has shown and the leadership he has shown already is exciting, and it's a sign of things to come in the future. Absolutely. But at the same time, like I said, he hasn't played too many games for Anderlecht. And like I've been saying, 21 is still a really young age, and on top of all of that, you've got the jump up from the Belgian Pro League to the Premier League, which is arguably the best league and most demanding league in the world. So it's going to be a big step up for him. Sorry, and I think he's already said that in his interview today. You know, it's a big step up, but at the same time, he's ready for it. He's excited for it. He's confident, and that's what you want to hear. And I think, speaking to those journalists, they really reiterated to me that the fact that the mentality he's got and the attitude he has in order to move forward, impress, improve, and grow as a person as well as a player. So I think he's going to fit right in, and yeah, I look forward to seeing how he develops under Arteta, and seeing how he fits into the Premier League. Absolutely.
Okay. Just one more sort of question on it. You're saying there that they were saying some big clubs were in for him. And one of the things he did say in his interview today was, you know, as soon as he was told that Arsenal were interested, it was, that's it, you know, I'll just stop you there. That's where I'm going. I want to go to Arsenal. Do you know, were they able to tell you some of the clubs that were interested in him?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, there was quite a few Italian sides, some German clubs as well. I even think Manchester City and Barcelona were mentioned as well.
Okay.
So that's always a good sign when you're being linked to clubs like that. So, and as you said, you read out his quote just then, Stephen. You know, he said, "No, excuse me, but I want this move to Arsenal." And that's exactly what you want from any potential target that the club are looking at. You know, he wasn't thinking about money or anything like that. He was thinking about his development, thinking about the best fit for him. Yeah, I think we've always seen it, haven't we, in the past as well, that the pull that Arsenal Football Club have, especially for young players, because of our success in sort of bringing them through the system, bringing them through the club. And I think Arteta was saying as well, he's kept in regular contact with Vincent Kompany, and every time he spoke to Vincent, it was positive. So, yeah, like I was saying, it's good to hear the quotes coming out, and not just from the player himself, but from those who have worked with him and developed him. Everything's been positive. Like I was saying, Stephen, and like it's important for the supporters to realise it's still going to take him a little bit of time to fit right in, to adjust to this new challenge. He's, like I say, he's still young, and it's a big step up from him from the Belgian league to the Premier League. But he's got the potential, and definitely one to keep an eye on.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks, Chris, for that insight. And as I say, if anybody wants to read Chris's article, the link is in the description. You can have a read of that after the show. Keith, I'll come to you now. Sambi, is this a guy you're excited to see?
I really am. It's kind of almost a double-edged sword, I suppose. I'll probably mirror what Chris has just said. When you've got somebody with the leadership qualities of Vincent Kompany, promoting this kid to captain of Anderlecht at the age of 21, that's, you know, that needs to be noticed. Also, the fact that Thierry Henry was highlighting him to Arsenal as well. I think these are both really, really big deals. Yeah, he's not played a huge amount of football for Anderlecht, and as a fan base, we do need to be patient with him. But he is an extra cog in the wheel of our midfield. I know how much you love the word pivot. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to fit in with Thomas Partey. Whether may well be an understudy to him and be coming in when Thomas Partey's, you know, needing a break. He could well be playing alongside him. I don't know at this point, but we do need to be patient with him. But he does look a real prospect. I'm prepared to be patient. I've been an Arsenal fan since, you know, I was 6, so I've seen worse times than this. But we don't need to be getting on the kid's back if he has a couple of bad games or he, you know, makes a few errors. We've got to be patient with him because, you know, he's 21, and that step up from the Belgian league to the Premier League, he may well fit right in. He may jump in and hit the ground running. We don't know. It might be. I remember watching Patrick Vieira make his debut for Arsenal, and it was like instantly, it's like, yeah, you know, he was a kid then, and he deserved to be there, and he fit right in. Sambi might be the same. We just don't know at this point. But I just hope people are patient with him and give him the chance to develop. But yeah, overall very happy.
Excellent. G, just before we come to you, just quick, Antonio there watching from Florida, driving home in the middle of a thunderstorm. Drive safely, and thanks for tuning in while you're driving along. G, Sambi Lukonga, I know you are excited about this guy. Do you want to share your thoughts?
Yeah, you know what it is. I'm very excited about seeing Sambi play. I think, like most of us, we didn't know who he was in terms of a player. You know, playing in Anderlecht. I think most people be honest enough to say that. But nevertheless, you know, obviously, you know, the transfer itself has dragged on a bit, and I think we've all kind of, you know, done our research and looked him up. And you know, as the guys Chris and Keith said, you know, when you're coming with, you know, professionals or ex-professionals, you know, footballers like Company and Thierry Henry, you know, raving about you in terms of like your performances and your potential, then, you know, these are the guys in football that you listen to, you know. So it's crazy. And I think the other side, I think that really impressed me is likewise to what the guy said in terms of his leadership skills. And I've said this on a previous show, regardless of where you're playing your football, to be 21 in a squad and be given the captain's armband at any point, that is massive, because there will be a lot of players, you know, far senior players to him with regards to age, with regards to experience, that obviously the captain armband could have gone to. So yeah, I'm really excited to see him play. I think the most important thing, obviously I'm no expert, but the most important thing is that he's managed well. I think, you know, he's coming into the team. There's going to be a huge amount of pressure, and let's be honest, you know, the transfer fee, it's not, you know, it's not extraordinary money, but it's not small money either. So there will be a certain level of expectancy, but we do have to be patient. And like he said, we can't expect him to just come in and just hit the ground running. It might happen, it might not happen. But I think most importantly, and I have all the trust in the world in the Arsenal staff and Arteta, he needs to be managed well. You know, he needs to be given time to transition. Hopefully we make a couple of more signings within the midfield so that, you know, initially the pressure's not on straight away. But yeah, I'm really excited to see him play for Arsenal. And I think what hit me was just a couple of the interviews that he did. He just seems really down to earth, really humble, and he just seems to have the right attitude. Kind of what it's needed. Like, don't really want to name him, but, you know, talking about the midfielder we've just got rid of, you know, to Marseille, you know, Guendouzi. I look at someone like, you know, Sambi, and yeah, it's just a press interview, but that's the type of player we want. That's the type of young player we want. Somebody who's going to come in, work hard, humble themselves, and hopefully once he gets his chance, you know, he shines. So yeah, can't wait to see him play.
Excellent. Okay. A couple of comments, and I just want to touch on Chris. It isn't us who will get on his back. Normal fans will support him regardless. Can't say the same for, yeah. Yeah, I mean, there is an element of our fan base that will jump on people straight away. And that's sad to see. So I really do hope that the fans give him a chance. And as you have said, you know, like let's make sure that if he makes a mistake, we don't get at him. Mike, we definitely need to be patient. We've got put a lot of pressure on young players over the years, which has come back to bite us on many occasions. Absolutely. Weezy J, let's not jump on his back like we did with Pepe in his first season. It took his second season to spark, so it will definitely take some time for him to settle. Absolutely. I've already seen people saying he's going to be better than Pogba and be our next Vieira. I'd rather we didn't put that pressure on him. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I think, you know, let's stop calling players the next. Let's just call them the first of whoever they are.
Yeah.
And let them develop at their rate. And if he's going to be a star, he'll be a star. It doesn't matter. Let's not put that added pressure on. He shall not be named. All right, we'll move on. And Keith, I'm going to come to you first on this one because I know this one will excite you a lot. And it was obviously announced over the weekend that we've finally done a deal with Brighton for Ben White, the England international. Although, unfortunately, he didn't seem to get a single minute at the tournament, which was disappointing to see. But he is a fully fledged England international now. Played very well at Leeds in the Championship when they won the Championship, and obviously had a great season last season for Brighton. I know this is someone you're particularly excited about, so do you want to tell us your feelings here?
I will do. My guy, by the way. You know, G's got this thing for Mr. Grealish. Ben White is the one for me. I'm actually quite pleased he didn't play for England, because if the reported 50 million is a fact, it probably wouldn't have been 50 million if he had have actually played in that tournament. But the thing I love most about this kid is, I think he's more. I don't want to be disrespectful to centre backs by calling him more than just a centre back, but there's so much more to his game than that. He made 62 interceptions last season for Brighton across 38 games. That's 2 interceptions a game, which maybe doesn't seem that much, but that's 2 times this guy's not having to make a tackle. And I always look back to the fact it seems like we never ever replaced Gilberto Silva, who was our invisible wall, and he was all about making interceptions. And this kid, I think, could be every bit as good as Gilberto Silva. But not only that, when you see one of the phrases I hate, I know you hate the word pivot, I hate the word transition, it really winds me up, but transitioning from defence to attack through midfield, he moves the ball so quickly. He's very, very skillful with the ball at his feet, and he knows almost instinctively when to lay the ball off. He won't hold on for it too long. He won't play a silly pass. He'll play a simple pass when necessary. But he's also got it in his locker to hit a 30, 40-yard ball as well as having goals in him. And he's incredibly versatile. He could be a straightforward centre-back. He could be part of a back three, maybe the forward-facing point of a back three, where you've got him as almost an extra central midfielder. He's equally proficient as a right back, and Arteta seems to like having a taller fullback if you're playing with a back four. So he's got that in his locker as well. And he could also potentially be the defensive midfield partner for Thomas Partey to be pushing on. And it seemed towards the back end of last season, do you remember when we all used to get even more mad about the lineup as opposed to the actual game? Everyone was waiting with bated breath, looking on Twitter, thinking, waiting for the meltdown of the release of the formation. It seemed to me Arteta actually, towards the end, he got quite good at releasing the team list where there were various players that could play in various positions, and the structure of the team could be a lot different. And there were many different connotations. I think with a player like this, it really, really adds that. And I've spouted on for long enough about him now. I love him to bits, and apparently he's already part of the Arsenal lads WhatsApp chat group as well. And he's already getting stuck in and getting to know them. So bring it on. Welcome to Arsenal, Ben White.
Excellent. Chris, just before I come to you, just a couple of things I want to sort of say on that. I mean, firstly, you're saying there about him being able to play in different positions, and I was reading today a couple of different people saying, like Pepe's being practiced at centre forward so that he's more comfortable playing across the three at the front. So if Arteta's looking at changing that formation to a 4-3-3, that he can play anywhere across the front three more comfortably, and that Arteta's putting a lot more focus on players being able to play more than one position during this pre-season, and he's working on that. Another thing he said, and it's just a point Martin's made here, great signing with David Luiz gone. We clearly need the ball playing centre back to start our attacks out faster and really a top defender. And I mean, I think we've seen that last season, that when Luiz wasn't playing, we did sort of struggle with that, and I hate to use the term, that transition from attack to defence. And Ben White, I think, is someone that will give us that. He's able to get the ball out, and he's able to run with the ball firstly himself, but he's able to pick a good pass. And the last one, just Chris, before I come to you, Gary saying there about Arsenal's future is promising. Most of the core of the team is 25 or younger, 2 to 3 years till we see the fruits of Arteta's labour if he lasts. And Gary, I know you're not Arteta's biggest fan, but you're right there, and if you look at the signings we're potentially looking at making, they're all young players, they're all under 25, and he's building a really good core, and it kind of debunks this myth that Arteta doesn't like young players. When you look at the core of the squad now, and he's got the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe potentially going to sign a new contract, all these Balogun signed a new contract, all these young kids signing new contracts, as well as bringing in the defense Tavares. We've brought in Lukonga now at 21. Ben White, 23. You know, so these guys are all young guys that potentially we build a squad that will last for a few years and make us an exciting team going forward. So, Chris, I'll come to you now. Ben White, are you happy to see this deal's finally getting done?
Yeah, very happy. You know, one of my first points I'll make is what yourself, Stephen, and Keith have just been touching on. This sort of the youngsters we're starting to bring through the ranks, starting to sign and tie down to new deals as well. I've made this point before, but how often do we see the young guns show more passion and loyalty and effort on the football pitch than we do some of the more senior players? Quite often than not, the youngsters put those senior players to shame. And I think with the additions such as Tavares, Lokonga, Ben White, it's a step in the right direction. I think they'll give everything on the pitch and go on to be leaders themselves. But at the same time, add real quality to this Arsenal team. I think with Ben White, I remember watching him for Leeds a couple of seasons ago. Whenever they had their championship fixture on the TV, and he was one of the standouts for me, if not the standout player. You could see that he was too good to be playing in the championship, really. And then come the end of the season, Leeds obviously wanted to try and keep him. Bielsa thought he was crucial to the style of play and to what he wanted to achieve at Leeds. But obviously Brighton had the biggest say in that. He was still their player. And then he decides to sign a new contract with the Seagulls and stay there for regular first team football within the Premier League. And again, he just looks a natural, you know, even though he is still fairly young. And a couple of years ago, he was playing low level, some lower leagues as well. But again, that big step up just doesn't seem to have phased him at all. He's like I say, he looks a natural. He's calm. He's composed. And you know, obviously after watching him, those runs from centre back into midfield. Not only that, but just on the right side as well. He loves to bomb down the pitch with the ball, to progress the play, moving forward. That's everything you see under Arteta and the way Arsenal are playing. We all saw it with David Luiz when he was here, his long balls up the pitch, or his ability to drive forward and pick out a pass to get things moving. I think Ben White will have a similar impact here. You know, I don't think he's your typical physical, tall defender who will be good in the air. I don't think that will be his sort of main job. I think we'll leave that to someone like Gabriel, for example. But Ben White will be more of a ball-playing centre-back, get things moving. Like I said, he's got the composure, he's got the good dribbling skills and ball control, and he's quite quick as well. He's got good agility. So I'm really intrigued to see it, you know, how he does here. He's done it at Leeds. He's done it at Brighton now. So hopefully he can carry on that top form and do it at Arsenal as well. But it's another positive move, you know, in terms of these youngsters coming in. And it sets us up, hopefully, for an exciting future moving forward. Obviously, after this Ben White deal is done, and say we do lose someone like Granit Xhaka, Hector Bellerin, I think it's important to obviously add a bit of experience as well. You need to find that healthy balance. You need to find the right balance. But even though, you know, just as an example, we've been linked with someone like Ruben Neves, who at sort of international level, as well as when he was at Porto, I believe he was a captain at the age of 2021. You know, he's got those leadership skills. And you know, I just think, you know, we're looking at specific profiles who are young, sort of mid-20s as well, and who have those leadership skills, who has the mentality to improve and has the right attitude to sort of make it in this Arsenal side and achieve good things with Arsenal. And certainly when we're talking about Ben White, he's one of them. Again, one of those players you just hear endlessly good things about. So yeah, it's taken a few weeks to get the deal agreed, but it looks like Arsenal's persistence has paid off with this one, and I'm excited to see him come through the door.
Excellent, thank you. I'm just sort of reading the comments here at the same time, and there was a couple of people that are talking about the right back situation, and we'll come on to that a bit later on in the show. So, G, Ben White, couple of sentences on Ben White, please.
Yeah, for me, I think, I don't really want to go over a lot of the stuff that the guys have already mentioned, but I'll just say this, that, I know a lot of Arsenal fans are kind of questioning, why we're choosing to spend this type of money or this amount of money on Ben White. For me, I don't quite get the questioning. I think, as Arsenal fans, for a long time, we've wanted our club to show some ambition. We've also wanted our club to, potentially buy players that are Premier League proven. And so for me, I think Ben White ticks all the boxes, that we're looking for in terms of a centre-back. You can definitely see how Arteta wants to play with regards to the centre-backs being comfortable on the ball. So, yeah, I don't really get the opposition to the move. Like I said in the previous stream, it is a lot of money, but it's not my money, it's not our money, so I'm not too fussed. But I'm really excited to see him play. I think he's going to be a great addition. And yeah, I just can't wait for the announcement.
Okay, excellent. All right, before we move on, I want to just touch on something else, and that is the video we did last week that we put together, myself and Jim from Hill End Arsenal put together, and you three guys were all involved and did a little bit for it, which was a sort of thank you to Saka, and it was just a video we wanted to put together, and we hoped Saka would see it. Jim is fairly convinced that he has. Whether he has or not, I don't know, but it has, it's done great views, between the two channels, it's over 4,000 views. But I don't know if anybody's aware of what happened, and I just want to highlight this, and I'm not sure if Jim's on the show tonight, but we are going to be doing more stuff with this going forward. The video was actually removed by YouTube from Jim's channel the other day, and when we investigated and we found out why, it was UEFA had complained about copyright, because in the middle of that video there is about 10 seconds of footage of the three guys that missed penalties looking upset, and UEFA have claimed copyright on that and had the video removed. Now, for anyone that tells me that things like the European Super League were, was a bad idea because, UEFA have, we should stick with UEFA. UEFA and FIFA, I've said it from the start, are as corrupt as anybody. UEFA don't care about anything other than their own pocket. The fact that they have removed the video from YouTube because they're not profiting from 10 seconds of footage during a video that was created to try and make a 19-year-old boy feel a bit more okay with the fact that, people supported him, that not everybody was against him, that he wasn't, not everybody was a racist and giving him abuse, yet they took that down because they won't profit from it. And it just goes to prove how much they only think about their own pocket. And it disgusts me. It really does. It just, I can't even tell you how much it disgusts me. And he has put it back up on the channel. And as I say, we are going to do more stuff. And we've talked about this before. We are going to do more stuff as a channel. It sickens me. It really does. And I don't know if you guys want to say anything quickly before we move on about it, feel free. But we will be doing more as a channel. We are going to do a show coming up soon where we're going to really, really delve into online abuse, racial abuse, religious abuse, sexual abuse, the whole thing. We're really going to cover it all. We're not afraid to deal with these subjects, and we're going to start a campaign, and we're going to do, I'm not saying we're going to change the world or we're going to change the internet, but we're going to do our damnedest to make a difference. And I hope that everybody watching, and I hope you guys all want to be involved, and we're going to do something to make a change. So I'll give you a couple of moments if anybody wants to say anything before we move on.
Well,
I'll let you go.
Go on, Keith.
I was going to say, I didn't realise, thanks Chris, I didn't realise that the video had been removed. I feel exactly the same as you, Stephen, about UEFA and FIFA. They've been some of the most corrupt organisations on the planet for as long as I can remember. You know, you look at the court cases that have only just passed in the last few years. And a lot of the Super League was wrong. We all know that. But a lot of UEFA's issue was it was announced on the eve of them announcing the changes to their structure for their European tournaments for next season. So, you know, let's not beat about the bush. But, like, I mean, you summed it up perfectly. I can't say any better than you did, Steve. There's a video to make a kid feel better. And they've done that just for 10 seconds of footage. It kind of sums them up, really. And don't even get me started on the whole online abuse thing. You all know how I feel about that. And I will rant and vent, and I need to allow other people to jump on their soapboxes. So go away, chaps.
Yeah, well, I don't think I can put it much better than you did, Stephen Keefe. You know, again, I wasn't aware that the video was taken down. It tells you a lot about those involved who have taken it down. At the end of the day, you guys will know I'm a very positive guy. I always like to look at the positives, and you know, let's focus on that. We've put together a really, really heartwarming video for Bukayo, a 19-year-old kid who was verbally, racially abused after he I'm not going to say missed, because he didn't miss it, it was saved, but didn't score that penalty. And sadly, it is a problem that we shouldn't be talking about in this day and age. It shouldn't be in existence, if you like. I think that the saddest part of it was reading Bukayo's statement the other day on social media, and he knew exactly what was coming his way as soon as he didn't score, and that says a lot, doesn't it? Yeah, I think from how I view it, the support has outweighed the abuse, thankfully, and there's a lot more good people than there is bad. But that's the problem, you know, those bad people, those horrible people still exist, and there's got to be more done now and moving forward. But just like we highlighted in the video, you know, what an inspiration Bukayo is, what an amazing young kid he is as well. He's achieved a lot more than I did at 19. And I'm sure that will continue being the case throughout his life. He's got such a bright future ahead of him. He's talented as a footballer. He's got an exceptional attitude off the pitch as well. And when you sort of speak to those who work with Saka, you watch his interviews, you watch the clips of him at the training base with England, and everyone just says the same thing. He's an absolute pleasure to be with, to work with, to know. And the fact that, you know, he has that profile at the age of 19 speaks volumes. He's an inspiration to so many in this country and so many around the world. And as an Arsenal fan, as an Englishman, I'm super, super proud of him. And I can't wait to see him back in Arsenal red and white for this upcoming season. I'm sure will bounce back from it, and he'll go on to achieve great things.
Okay. G, just before I come to you, I just want to very quickly, explain the reason that you maybe didn't know that it had been taken down was me and Jim had a conversation when it happened, and we decided not to advertise the fact that it had been taken down, or certainly not to advertise the reason why, because we wanted to figure out how we were going to deal with it in terms of, you know, what sort of statement we were going to make about it. We also didn't want to make an issue of it because we didn't want it to be taken down from our channel. And before anybody sort of says anything about it, that being for selfish reasons or anything, we are not a big enough channel. Our channel is not monetized, so we make nothing from this channel. You know, so don't anybody be sitting there thinking I didn't want it taken down because we're profiting from it. We're not. We don't make any money from this channel. We do this for the fun of it. You have to have like 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 viewing hours within a year before you can monetize your channel. We're nowhere near that. So we wanted to make sure that it was left up for as long as possible in the hope that Bukayo would see it. So I just want to make that clear before anybody, because I have seen, there was a couple of things I've seen on Twitter about, channels talking about racism and stuff, and it being made out that they were only talking about it because they were profiting from it. So I want to make sure that people realize that's not what our reason for not highlighting what UEFA had done initially. We just wanted to make sure that it was left up for as long as possible in the hope that if Bukayo hadn't seen it, that he would get to see it. So, G, sorry, just you want to say anything before we move on?
Boy, I don't even know where to start. But for me, it just epitomizes what's wrong with society. It just kind of reminds you. I've seen obviously a lot of negativity with regards, the players missing penalties, but then we've also seen an amazing response, from all different people around the world. So that's what I try to hold on to. Instead of trying to hold on to, the things that were done, in terms of targeting those players, the response from, football fans all over the world in terms of supporting those three players has been amazing. But yeah, UEFA, FIFA, whoever it is, like for me, it just epitomizes, what's wrong with society. You got these big organizations and institutions that, to be honest, don't really care, about individuals. They don't really care about people. It's all about money, and it's always been about money. And it's going to be hard for us to ever move, forward and change that kind of mindset amongst the most powerful in society. But all we can do is do our part, and that's what we'll continue to do. But yeah, it's sad. I know me and you had a conversation about it when it happened, and we never kind of made it public, but it did sadden me. It really did sadden me because when I watched the video once it had gone up, and it actually brought a tear to my eye. It made me feel really, really emotional, and I kind of needed it. That might sound selfish in some way, but I kind of needed it. Like after the defeat and seeing how the players were treated, as a result of missing penalties, I kind of feel like I needed to almost kind of emotionally let it out. And being part of that, because I had a dodgy voice and I wasn't actually going to do it. I said to Stephen that, I don't think I can do it. My voice is not good. I'm not feeling great. But I'm so glad I did. I sent over a clip and it was part of the video. But watching the video back, sorry, I've got an annoying fly in my kitchen. Watching the video back, it was really emotional, and I'm so glad I was part of it. And I definitely found it really therapeutic. And I really hope that Saka did see it, because he deserves to see it. So, yeah, you know what? It's a bit crap, that UEFA and FIFA, whoever else, would want to take the video down or have taken the video down. But, it's not going to stop us as individuals. It's not going to stop us as, a small channel trying to do our part to make a small difference. So do what you want, because we're not going anywhere.
Absolutely.
Very well said.
For anybody that hasn't seen the video, it is still there, so get on, have a watch of it. It's quite heartfelt. It's about 11 minutes long. Give it a watch, give it a like, so it pushes it out there a bit further, and share it around. Weezy J, I'm really behind you guys, and Lottie B, yeah, definitely support you in every way possible, and also get people to join in as well. Thank you, we appreciate it. All right, we'll move on quickly. And a player then that's rumoured to potentially maybe leaving the club this week is Joe Willock, with a deal. I'm not sure at the minute whether it's going to be a permanent deal or whether it's going to be a loan with an obligation, or what the situation is. But from all accounts, he is going to be going back to Newcastle. And I have heard rumours that, in fact, his family actually headed up to Newcastle on Friday, although he did play on Saturday for us against Rangers. Chris, have you heard anything more on the Joe Willock situation?
Haven't heard anything new, Stephen. No, just only what's being said publicly and in the media. But it does seem fairly certain that he'll be going back to Newcastle. Steve Bruce has publicly said how sort of desperate they are to do something with Arsenal as well. and he's obviously enjoyed his time there as well last season. Of course, doing very well, it must be said. But yeah, we're just waiting for those new developments now to see where it gets. Apparently, Newcastle aren't strapped for cash, and we all know how tight their owner is with it. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of structure any proposed deal for Willock. I think taking into consideration what we're trying to build at Arsenal now and moving forward, and who else could be leaving in that area. Of course, we've lost Guendouzi. We're losing, it looks like, Granit Xhaka. Odegaard has gone back to Real Madrid. So, an attacking threat, an attacking minded player we've lost there as well. Obviously, that's what sort of Willock brought to Newcastle last season, goals. So, I just think that we're going to be looking for replacements for those anyway, and I just think if we are going to let Willock go, then it's got to ideally be a permanent deal. I think he's someone who could raise a decent sum for us. You're talking at least 20, 25, maybe even 30 million, because he's English, homegrown, he's young. He's obviously just come off the back of a great season as well. So yeah, you've got to be demanding a substantial fee for him, because he's not only because of the season he's had and the fact that he's homegrown, but he's still young. He's got a lot of room to improve. He's got a lot of potential. So, I still personally think he's probably not quite ready to really make a difference within this Arsenal side, if I'm being honest with you. I think, respectively, where his career is at right now and the age he's at, and the amount of developing he's still got to do, I think a club like Newcastle would be good for him. But like I said, it's just some doubts over the structure of the deal at the moment, and how it's going to work out. Look, it's all fair and well me sitting here saying this, but at the same time, just because he's not ready quite yet, doesn't mean he's not going to be ready at all for Arsenal in the future. Maybe it is what Arsenal are looking for, another season-long loan for him to develop, for him to improve, and then maybe moving forward from the season after next, he'll be more ready for this Arsenal team. Who knows? All I know is that he's a good young lad. He's talented. And I think if we could sell, he could raise substantial funds for us to further improve this Arsenal team with maybe players that are more ready to improve us more moving forward and to make a real difference straight away. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, or it ends up.
Okay, and obviously, we're done our bit tonight already by promoting Mike Ashley's shops to get your Arsenal tops in. So that they get the money rather than Arsenal, which ends up going back to Arsenal one way or the other anyway. So, Keith, Joe Willock, will you be sad to see him go? Do you think he should have got a chance?
Firstly, I'd just like to say to Lottie that ESR is still my guy. I was just saying Ben White's my guy from a transfer perspective. So we'll put that aside. Right, Joe Willock. I love Joe Willock. I love the fact that when he was with us last season, when we were struggling and the captain weren't coming out to do the press conferences, Joe was one that stood up, and he was the one that was counted in front of the media. I know that he's the sort of player, or I'm fairly certain he's the sort of player, he's the life and soul of that dressing room. Kid's always got a smile on his face. And it was nice to see him doing so well at Newcastle. Sometimes a player just fits a certain club. They'll go somewhere and they won't do so well, and then they'll go to another place and the fans take to them and that builds them up. And it just seems like that's the place for him. I've got no interest in him going out on loan with a view to selling him, unless he goes and bags 25 goals for the Magpies next season and his stock goes up to 35, 40 million. My fear is that at the end of last season, he was a 25 million pound player. That's probably already dropped through the summer because people have kind of forgotten about it a bit. And do we stick or twist? If we're going to loan him out, it's got to be with a view to him coming back. as an improved player, because he's not probably going to get in our side at the moment. But don't loan him out with a view to selling him, because his value could drop. I'd rather see us just sell him, to be honest. If he's not going to get a look in, just sell him, get the money in, and then we can reinvest it, hopefully. But
Okay.
I like him a lot. He's a good lad.
Okay, no worries. G, we've heard your feelings on Joe Willock before, so we'll not go into that. But what I want to do, I want to move on to the next one, and you can go first in this one, G. And sort of one that's now becoming a bit of a saga this summer is Locatelli. So if reports are to be believed, we have had a bid accepted for him, and you've been given the opportunity to match it. But at the minute, their offer is a 2-year loan. With a 30 million mandatory in 2 years' time. Our offer is 40 million, and basically, from what I can gather, we're prepared to pay either all or the majority of that up front. Locatelli, his preference is obviously to go to Juve. I mean, how are you feeling about this deal? Is this something that you think Arsenal should be persisting with, or do you think we should just walk away from this and move on?
You know what? It's a hard one because Locatelli is, clearly an exceptionally, gifted, talented young player. Seeing him play in the Euros, he's got a lot to his game. And, if we were to somehow pull off this transfer, then, he would instantly improve the midfield at Arsenal. And, as Chris said, we've got so many players who will be leaving Arsenal in midfield, well, who have already left, who were on loan, who probably are likely to leave, and some that are kind of, we don't know whether they're going to stay or leave. But clearly we need bodies in midfield. For me, he's a quality player. Now, the reluctance and the hesitance comes where, it's publicly known that, his dream move is Juventus. Now, so that's what makes it a tough one. If I woke up tomorrow and saw a tweet from David Ornstein or Fabrizio saying we've done a deal, I'd be ecstatic. I don't feel as strongly as maybe some other Arsenal fans with regards him wanting to move to Juventus. He's Italian. His dreams, when he was playing football in a playground as a kid, was to play for Juve. Like, I completely understand that. They've got Champions League football. Right now, Juventus don't have the money to sign him. I still think that this deal will get done between his club and Juventus. Whether it gets done this summer, whether it gets done next summer, whether it's, player part exchange, whatever it is, I believe that, they will come to some kind of agreement. But would I like to see him play for Arsenal? 100%. He's a quality player. He offers us so much in that midfield, and he instantly improves the team. Are there other options out there that, we could potentially look to? Maybe players who have Premier League experience, maybe who are equally as good, if not better, that, would probably jump at the chance or opportunity to sign him for Arsenal. Then, yeah, I can see it. But my thing is, we need more than 1 or 2 midfielders, potentially maybe even 3 midfielders. If Locatelli is one of the 2 or the 3 midfielders, regardless of whether he wants to play for Juve or not, and that's his dream move, I'm not going to be losing any sleep over it if we announce it on our website that we've signed him. So he's a class player. I have no qualms about him playing for Arsenal if we can pull it off. Should we walk away from the transfer? I don't think so. Not at this point. I think he's a good enough player. And I think, we've made it clear in terms of, putting in our bid. Now we can just, kind of wait in the wings and see how, that develops, because at the same time, we're not naive to sit here and think that, we've put in a bid for Locatelli and we're not also talking to other players and we're not also talking, to other agents and other clubs. At this precise moment, you can tell, you can see all the rumours. Arsenal are talking to several midfield options, that are playing for several different clubs. But for me, he's a good option to have, and I'd gladly have him play at Arsenal.
Still on mute, Stephen.
Sorry. Apologies, folks. Yeah, Chris, from speaking to other journalists and stuff, is there any sort of feeling from obviously from yourself firstly, and maybe from other ones that you spoke to, that this is a deal that we may potentially get done, or is it kind of very much it's not very likely?
Well, it's been well reported on that we are looking at it, and we're just sort of waiting in the background now to see what happens between his current club Sassuolo and Juventus. I must admit, before I saw him in action at the Euros for Italy, I hadn't seen much of him before, wasn't too familiar with him. I had heard of him, and he's meant to be highly rated in Serie A. But he's not my number one choice for that position to bring in this summer. It's sort of as G touched on a moment ago. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about him preferring to go to Juventus, and that makes sense. With him being in Italy already and sort of looking up at a big club like Juve growing up, and just because he prefers them doesn't mean he doesn't want us. I think if he didn't want Arsenal, then we wouldn't be looking at this. We've heard Mikel Arteta say before, there should never be players that we're looking at and they need convincing to come here. He doesn't like that sort of thing. He wants players who wants Arsenal and wants to represent the club. So I don't think we'd be sort of looking at this deal and looking at the player if we weren't sort of totally convinced. There was an interest from the players' side as well. But my only sort of my question marks are really is if he isn't 100% convinced, then and he does sign, for example, just hope it doesn't sort of turn out like another Lucas Torreira, really, who is of course a talented player and has also come from Serie A as well. But he got a bit homesick, didn't sort of settle in well enough, and he never really hit the ground running. And ultimately, his Arsenal career has been fairly short-lived. I think it's safe to say that he'll also be moved on this summer as well, if it's possible. That's sort of my only doubt about it. Again, I must admit, like I said, I haven't seen too much of him to sort of judge him properly. But I just personally think we're better off going for someone like Bissouma, who's already Premier League proven, who's obviously shown a lot of quality as well, and I think would fit in perfectly next to Thomas Partey. So that's sort of my preference. Whether or not we'd look at something like that now, we're getting Ben White from Brighton. I'm not sure, but I just think he's sort of a better profile, really. And like I said, just based on not being too familiar with the player and obviously the noise surrounding his preference to Juventus and wanting to stay in Italy ideally, it's just raised a few question marks for me, and I'll just be a little bit worried about how quickly and how well he sets in or fits in, and settles at Arsenal. So that's my views on that. Again, I mean, obviously, if we do get him, I think it will be interesting. It's obviously, like G was saying, like we've been touching on a few times tonight, it's a position where we do need extra numbers and extra quality. So I won't be totally against it if it happens. We've obviously would have beaten off some very strong competition. And as it's been reported as well, I mean, I'm not sure how accurate these reports are, but that people were saying, if you can't get that move to Juventus, then he doesn't want to go to Arsenal, he'll just stay at his current club. And I think if that was the case, he would do that anyway. I don't think he'd just go to Arsenal for the sake of it. He'd just wait for his chance to go to Juventus. So if he does end up coming, you'd like to think, and I think there'd certainly be a good chance that he's happy to be coming here. And those at the club would have convinced him about the project and about where we're wanting to go moving forward, what we want to achieve. So, I wouldn't be totally against it. I just think, based on the points I've made and also just being a bit more of a fan of someone like Bissouma as well, who I think would be a better fit, that, I just think, we could maybe do a bit better. But like I say, I can't fairly judge him because I haven't seen him that much. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. What we do know is, as I've touched on, we'll be getting another central midfielder in if/when Granit completes his move to Roma. It's absolutely crucial that we get another body in there. But guys, I'm going to have to leave it there. I've got to head off now. But just thank you so much for having me on the show again, guys. Thanks. It's been a pleasure as always. It's been really good chatting to you all, and enjoy the rest of the show. And hopefully I'll be on again soon.
Yes, no problem, Chris. Thank you very much for coming on tonight. I really, as I said earlier on, I really wanted to get your take on Sambi, and that was the main reason I wanted you on anyway, because I know you'd obviously done quite a bit of research on that. So thank you for coming on. And as I say, for anybody who's watching, you can check out Chris's article. It's in the description, in the link below, or the link is in the description below. Chris, we'll catch up soon. I'll give you a message in the next day or two anyway.
Brilliant. Right. Cheers, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Good evening.
All right, Keith, just before we come to you on Locatelli, I seen a great analogy the other day on Twitter, and I wish I could remember who it was that put it up so I could give them the credit for it. But it's just this thing of, he doesn't want to come to Arsenal, he just wants Juventus. And as Chris rightly pointed out there, if that was the case, we would have moved on. We feel these players out before we make the bids and stuff. So we obviously have an indication that he wants to come. And someone had put up a great analogy of, I like strawberry ice cream and I like mint chocolate chip ice cream. I prefer strawberry, but if the shop doesn't have any strawberry left, but they have mint choc chip, I'm happy enough to take the mint choc chip.
Simple.
And I thought that was a brilliant analogy. So just because he'd rather go to Juventus doesn't mean he doesn't want to come to Arsenal. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I thought that was a brilliant analogy. Keith, Locatelli, would you be happy if we got this guy?
I would be happy. I don't see it happening, being entirely realistic. But, I mean, he's world class. He's world class. And like G said, he would improve our midfield massively. To start with, I was a little bit, obviously, we'd rather prefer players who, we want all gooners playing for Arsenal, basically. But that's never going to happen. And how many Italian footballers play outside of Italy? There's not a huge amount. There's the odd ones will go to PSG, they'll go to Barcelona, Real Madrid. Occasionally, some of the more wealthy clubs in the Premier League, but they don't tend to come this way. And I was worried initially if we got him that it would be another Samir Nasri and just like slope off somewhere else. But if you've got a player like this coming in, like Locatelli, the players around him are only going to improve. Look at the influence. Even if we had him for 2 years before Juve decided they got some money left after they've paid Aaron Ramsey off or whatever the story is there, and he goes back there 2 years later, they've got the money for him. And if he's improved our younger players, if he's improved Sambi and ESR and maybe Joe Willock, if he's still around, all those players around him, and we've made a profit, then surely that's good business. I want to see awesome players play for Arsenal and stay here till they retire, but that's not the game. That's not the way the business works, unfortunately. So if we can get him, brilliant. That's why when you mentioned him, I think I banged my head against the wall there, and I was like, it's frustrating because I can't see it happening, much as I'd like to see it happen.
Yeah, it is one that I would like to see Locatelli. I'm not gonna lie, I think he's a very good player. But yeah, I find it hard to believe it's going to happen. And I actually said to G and Lottie the other day, do you think there's a possibility that they're potentially using Arsenal and Arsenal are okay with it to drive the price up to get Juve, who are notoriously tight, to part with some money, in the hope that we potentially then might get a bit of discount off another player at the club that we actually do want, which is their right back. And his name has gone from my head at the minute. But we talked about it on another show, who's a player we're linked with. So, is that a possibility? I know it's very far-fetched, but, stranger things have happened. And we do know that, agents will use other clubs to drive up the price of their player or to get their players better contracts. So it could be a case of Sassuolo or whatever they're called using Arsenal to try and drive up the price from Juve. What is clear is Juve just don't have the money. So if they're going to be adamant that they have to match Arsenal's deal, there's no way Juve can match Arsenal's deal. Which it's an interesting situation. It really is. So listen, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right. So let's see, a couple of comments here. Mike and Lottie are talking about what ice cream they want. That's fair enough. Lottie, I hope you're getting your mum one as well. Very few come to England, full stop. I mean, apart from the ones that went to Chelsea, Zola and Vialli, I can't honestly remember another one that's joined the Premier League and made an impact. Fabrizio Ravanelli.
Yeah.
I love Ravanelli.
Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah. You got Zola and Vialli. So there's been quite a few. Italian Jorginho. I mean, do you know what? We all mocked it last transfer. Last summer. That it was rumored Arteta wanted Jorginho, and everybody was Arteta's talent ID, and all of a sudden, he's a Champions League winner, he's a Euros winner, and he's in contention for the Ballon d'Or. So there are Italians that come. It is, there are very few. They all seem to, a lot of them want to stay in Italy, but you know what? There are some that come and some that make an impact. Doesn't deal with the analogy. What does Mummy want, Lottie? She wants mint choc chip. I don't mind either, but prefer strawberry. All right.
I got strawberry.
What have I started here? Right, we'll move on because there's still a few players to get through. And another one that's potentially linked with a move away from the club is Reiss Nelson. So, Keith, Reiss Nelson, for me, I've often said he's a bit like your comments you were making on Sterling during the Euros, the end product. And that's kind of what I've always said about Reiss Nelson. He's quick. He's got fancy footwork. He can dribble past people. He can do the nutmegs and all the fancy flicks and turns. But he does very little at the end. There's very, very little end product. And it's like you used to see, I would say this about Bellerin as well. There's so many compilation videos of Bellerin speeding past people and running up the wing and doing all sorts. But all those end at that point. None of those compilations ever end with him actually crossing the ball into the box. You don't want to see what actually happens when he tries it. And that kind of reminds me a bit of Reiss Nelson. He really doesn't have an awful lot of end product. I mean, what's your feelings on Reiss? Do you think it's time for him to go, or do you think he deserves another opportunity in the team?
I think it's time for Reiss to go. I think Reiss made a bit of a mistake when he got given the option to go out on loan for the latter part of last season. You look at how it worked out for Joe Willock. And, I mean, in fairness to him, it's admirable. He wanted to stay in and fight for his place and see if he could force his way in. But it really hasn't worked. And, he's still only 21. So he's got a lot of time ahead of him. I don't see that he's the right fit for the way Arteta wants to play football. And, I love the fact that he's a local lad and you want the local kids to do well. But maybe he's another one of those that it just doesn't work at a certain club. He could maybe go to, I don't know, anyone else. Pick another team. He could go to Crystal Palace and be brilliant. Or he could go back to Germany where he was incredibly successful. Maybe the German game suits him better. I don't know. But I think it's time that, we cashed in on him. And I don't know how much we would get from him. I don't know what his market value is. You're probably looking at maybe 10, 15 at the moment because he's not played for so long. He's kind of out of the shop window. But yeah, I'd move him on. Okay.
G, Reiss Nelson. Yeah, it's I can't. I have to agree with Keith. I think it's time to move on. I'm this window. I'm just looking at this Arsenal squad and I'm just seeing, where we need to improve. And there's lots of positions and there's lots of players that we need to bring in before the window closes on the 31st of March, ideally before the 13th of March when the season starts. And I don't want to come across rude, but I just see Reiss Nelson as just taking up a spot. it's just like when I think about, you know, I think all Arsenal fans wanted him to do really well. For whatever reason or another, it hasn't worked out. And I'm looking at the squad, and I think, you know, to coincide with all the issues, you know, behind the scenes where it hasn't worked, he's also got the huge issue of playing on the same side as Saka and Pepe. So, like, let's be realistic. He's not going to get anywhere near that first team 11 next season. It doesn't make any sense in him staying whatsoever. So, whether it's his agent, his entourage, his parents, whoever it is, they just need to give the boy some advice and just say, look, you need to move on. You know, ideally, it doesn't need to be a loan. However, if it means loaning him out, then it's got to be, for me, a loan with an obligation to buy. Because, you know, I wish him all the best, but his future doesn't lie at Arsenal no more. And we need to kind of get beyond this point of the whole sentimental stuff, because I'm looking at a transfer window. I'm looking at Arsenal, you know, going into the season, and there are so many. Yes, we bought 3 really good, promising young players, but there are so many players that are still in the squad that we probably thought should have been sold at this point, that are just lingering around. I'm seeing training pictures of them, you know, on Twitter, and I'm just like, we need to get rid of them. And unfortunately, Reece falls into that category. So I don't see any point in giving him another opportunity this season. And I think we need to get rid of him ASAP.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, people agreeing with you there that, you know, his ceiling's just not as high. And as you said there, you know, with the sentiment, and we talked about this the other day, sort of Sentiment FC. We need to remember that the academy heel end is there. It's not just there to generate players for the first team. It's there to generate players that we can sell to other teams to make money, to improve the first team. You know, and that's, I think there's a lot of sentiment in it. You know, Reece Nelson, he's an Arsenal fan. He's grown up through the academy, and he is one that he has potential. But for me, his potential is mid-table. And whilst we are a mid-table team right now, that's not where we want to be. You know, we want to push higher, and we should be higher. So having players like Reece Nelson in our squad isn't going to do that. But we could sell him on. We could make 15 million from him. Yeah, that 15 million can then be used to improve the first team squad. And, you know, Chelsea, much as I don't like Chelsea, it's one thing Chelsea are very good at. They snapped up talent from all over Europe at a young age, developed them, loaned them out, and sold them. You know, so, you know, we complain about the amount of money that Abramovich has pumped into that club. In actual fact, if you look at it, he hasn't pumped in as much as you would think. They have made so much money from selling on these kids that they signed, developed through their academy, and sold on. And we need to be doing the same thing, you know, and we need to be ruthless. You know, Arteta talks about having, you know, a ruthless streak and being ruthless with things. And as fans, we need to accept that, and we need to do the same thing. You know, we need to be ruthless with some of these players. Yeah, it's great. They're Arsenal fans. They've come through the academy. But you know what? They're not the level that they need to be. And we have to accept that, you know, it's only going to be 1 or 2 from every couple of years that are going to be good enough to make the Arsenal first team. The rest are going to be bit part players who might get a game in the Carabao Cup or might get a game in the UEFA Cup group stages. But other than that, they're not going to play regular first team football for Arsenal. Yeah, but we can make a few million from selling them on, you know, and I don't think we should be afraid to do it. So, you know, for me, that's the case with Nelson. He's not up to the level that we need. Sell him on, make a bit of money, and invest it into the first team, and use the academy the way it should be.
Yep, 100%.
Mike there, classic prime example of what's he still doing here. Well, I mean, this is the other thing. I mean, it's annoying because we've started pre-season now, and like a week ago, as I sort of jokingly said, you guys were sitting crying into a pint and whatever, and you know, all joking aside, the Euros finished a week ago yesterday, and all of a sudden we're already 2 games into pre-season, and we still have Xhaka at the club, Bellerin at the club, you know, whoever else, Eddie Nketiah, and to be fair, Eddie took his goal really well on Saturday, you know, so fair play to him. But these players that we all sort of said should be moved on are still at the club, and the problem is they're being paid, Champions League and Europa League wages, and we're trying to sell them, and clubs don't have money. And then we complain that we're not getting enough. People are complaining that we might only get 15 million for Xhaka. It's the best we're going to do in this economy right now. Let's just get them out the door. But it's hard to sell these players when they're such high wages. They'd rather just sit there, take their money, and wait to the end of their contract. So, it's a shame. He should have taken that loan chance and shown what he can do. But this time, he should have. We talked about Smith Rowe, went to Huddersfield. This time last year, Smith Rowe was at Huddersfield. And look what he did. Proved himself. Got his opportunity in the Arsenal first team and hasn't looked back. It's a good point, Mike. But I've heard Wood Green Shopping Centre is looking for a new head of security for Kolesnik. All right. William. Yeah, William's another example of a player we want to get rid of on high wages. Lottie's on form tonight. Gary, I was hoping to see Hutchison and Henry Francis on the weekend, not the William and Cola. Yeah, I can understand why they're playing them, because they're putting them in the shop window to just remind people that they're there and they're available. But it doesn't do us a lot of good. We should have had these players away. It makes you question, and I said this last week to the guys, Edu sitting out in Monaco with Kia and Raul Sanelli, on what appeared to be a holiday in the middle of the transfer window. And I'm not for 1 second saying people shouldn't, football shouldn't have holidays. Of course they should. But when you're the director of football and your main job is to negotiate transfer deals, you shouldn't be taking a holiday during the biggest time of the season that you need to be doing that. So anyway, that's my wee rant. We'll move on. So earlier on, some of you guys in the chat were talking about right backs, and obviously some links today with right backs again. So we'll have another chat about it. Obviously, it looks like Bellerin could be on his way to Inter, and potentially we could have a situation where he plays the first half for Arsenal at the weekend and plays the second half for Inter. That would be lovely. Although knowing our luck, he'd play the first half for Arsenal, get injured, and we wouldn't sell him. So another one that's we've talked about him on this show before, and for me, he is my personal choice for right back. He's young, he's English, he's immensely talented. He has a winning mentality, and he knows the likes of Smith Rowe and Saka haven't played with them for the under-21s, and that is Max Aarons. G, I'll come to you first. Rumours are 25, anywhere between 25 to 40 million for Max Aarons. What's your thoughts? Is he the guy to replace Bellerin, or would you want someone else?
Yeah. So first off, for me, the right back position is a area of priority for me. And I had a bit of a debate on Twitter. I was saying that offline. A couple of debates on Twitter about the right back position, because some Arsenal fans, don't see it as a priority, and everybody's entitled to their opinion. But for me, I know we need to strengthen in a lot of areas across the pitch, but for me, we don't have a recognised number one right back. You might say, okay, Chambers, Bellerin. Let's be honest, Bellerin's going. He doesn't. He wants a new challenge. Arsenal are not, desperate to keep hold of him. It's just a case that the teams that are interested in him are a bit strapped for cash. Otherwise, he would have been out the door already. So he's going, or is on his way out. You've got Chambers, who really and truly is not a right back. He came in last season. He did a good job across, a couple of games and the latter stages of the season. But ideally, for me, Chambers is not our right back. Chambers, at best, for me, is a squad player because of his versatility. So I'm not necessarily saying we should sell Chambers, because I do think every squad needs players that can be versatile. He can play centre back, he can play right back, he can even play CDM, defensive midfield. So he's one of those players that if a good bid came in, we could get rid of him. But if he stuck around to be a squad player, I wouldn't have a big issue. Cedric, what happened to Cedric? He was in the team, he was doing well, both on the right, both on the left, and then in the latter stages of the season, he didn't even make the squad half the time. So that showed me that Arteta doesn't really believe in Cedric. So when I look at the 3 right back positions, I'm like, we don't have a first choice right back and a first choice naturally gifted or talented right back. So for me, it's a huge priority. The problem I have, because obviously I'm not a scout, I don't have the resources to know about world football. The problem I have is that there aren't too many names that come to mind when I think of right backs or players that I could see we could bring in that, you know, could replace Bellerin. But Max Aarons is the guy. You know, he is the first name, you know, that when you're thinking about right backs, he's got it all. You know, he's young, he's good defensively, he's good offensively. You know, he's Premier League kind of proven. He knows his way around, you know, the Championship as well as the Premier League. Like you said, he's got experience playing with some of the younger lads, you know, like Saka, Smith Rowe, etc. And for me, it's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer. I think if he's available, you know, at 25, you know, 30, 35, even 40 million, like if the money's there, I don't see why we wouldn't just get the deal done. I think we're fortunate as well where some of the other top teams in the Premier League don't have an issue with their right backs, because I think if they did, I think there would be real competition for him. When you look at some of the other big teams like in the Premier League, they don't really have an issue with the right back position. So that's why I don't think some of those clubs have really come in for him. So I think there's a real opportunity right now where we need a right back. We need to get rid of one, possibly two. We need to bring one in. So Max Aarons, for me, is the one we go for. I know we've discussed lots of options across Europe, across world football previously that we've been linked with, but it's simple as that. It's a no-brainer for me. So I know we've recently been linked over the last kind of couple of days. It's been really quiet on the right back front, but you know, if it's a no-brainer that Arsenal just need to get this done, because I can't see who else we could bring in that's better at the moment.
Okay. So Keith, another one we were linked with was Dest from Barcelona. We've had the conversation before about him on the show. There's Zajic or Zikic, is it? Silic? I'm trying to remember.
Silic,
There's Julian
Silic.
Baku. There's is it Mulder?
Yeah,
Mulder.
There's the American lad as well, Tyler Adams. Yeah,
at RB Leipzig. So I mean, rather than just sort of necessarily focusing on Max Aarons, although you can if you want, but I mean, who is your choice for right back? From all these links, who would you want? I know you obviously said previously about Tyler Adams, but is that still the case, or?
No, Tyler Adams would be my number 2 choice. Number 1,000%, Max Aarons. He's proven, like G said, he's probably going to cost 40 million because Norwich are not going to accept a lower bid to lose. I think Mike said it in the chat. They've already lost one £40 million player. They don't want to lose another one of their stars. But if that's it, sorry, Chris. If they know that they're going to recoup 80 million for these 2 players, then they may well do that. But Max Aarons is perfect for me, absolutely perfect. And he will at some point be the regular England right back. I'm absolutely certain of that. Maybe even by the next World Cup. He's that good. But if we can't get him, Tyler Adams, because his distribution and his foot speed are unbelievable. The only thing that concerns me is, like I said earlier, Arteta likes a taller fullback when you're playing with a flat back 4. But as G correctly said, Chambers, not an out-and-out right back, but a tremendous squad player. He's the one, he'll be happy to sign a new contract. They'll be happy to keep him in on a new contract because there's always going to be games where he can come in last 10, last 15, even at half-time if you've got an injury. And against West Ham, his distribution was great. Bombing down the right. It's probably the best game he's ever played in his entire life, to be fair. But you know, he's one that I would definitely keep. But Max Aarons for me, number 1, 1,000%.
Sorry, the one thing.
Oh, go on.
I was just going to say the one thing about that you comment there on Chambers about his, you know, the second half against West Ham, he was phenomenal. The problem was the first half, he was.
I know.
Rude words would describe his first half performance.
I was trying to be glass half full for a change.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with him. Sorry, G, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to address like some of the comments with regards like Bayern Munich looking at Max Aarons, and obviously Bayern Munich are a huge club. They're in a lot better position than we are right now. Obviously, Champions League football, they win the German league every year, but that doesn't always mean a huge amount in terms of a player. You got to think like, yes, Arsenal are not on the same level where Bayern Munich are at the moment, but a kid like Max Aarons going to Bayern Munich, he's got to move his whole life out into another country. Like it's not always a given. Oh, because this team's bigger or because this team's better, that it's gonna be a case of I'm gonna go to Bayern Munich. So I don't necessarily see personally. I don't see Bayern Munich as competition in terms of securing Aarons. I think if the player was a foreign player, if the player was maybe from that part of the world or maybe other parts of Europe, I would say. But you look at Arsenal, you look at the way Arteta and Edu and so forth has sold the project to the likes of Lokonga, the likes of Ben White. You've already got Smith Rowe, Saka in that setup there. You've got the likes of Aubameyang, Partey recently bought, Gabriel at the back. You can see what Arteta and Edu are trying to build. And for a player like Max Aarons, that would or could be seen as a very exciting project to be part of. And if you look at it, you just got to move like down the road, then literally uproot his whole life, his whole family, and move to another country where language barrier, culture. So I understand, obviously, it's, it can be quite scary thinking, buying it in for him, it's a done deal. I completely disagree, because I'm just putting myself, in that position. You offer me a job in Germany or you offer me a job, in central London. I don't live in central London, and, you're practically paying me the same. I'm going to go to the job in central London, regardless of what they're saying in Germany. There's no way I'm uprooting my whole family to move to Germany, So I think he's the best option. I think, there's no smoke without fire. I think conversations are being had, and I really want to see him in an Arsenal shirt. But yeah, I don't even look at the likes of Barcelona and Bayern Munich in for him. I think it will take a lot for Max Aarons to actually go and play for one of those big foreign giants. I think we've got a big, strong chance of getting him this summer if we're serious.
Okay, excellent, thank you. All right, moving on. So we all know that 40 million is still for Max Aarons. We have the potential to double that. So yeah, absolutely. We all know that that your man crush, Keith, is Ben White at the minute, and Smith Rowe to an extent. We know that your man crush is Jack Grealish, and that one has raised its head again over the last couple of days, but I don't really want to talk about that because it's really, really unlikely. But everybody knows that aside from my love of Max Aarons, my man crush is Hossam Aouar, and this one it's just not going away. We talked about it the other night, Keith, and obviously you weren't on. Well, you were on, but then your internet packed in, so we never got to hear your thoughts on Hossam Aouar. I mean, as I say, for me, this is the man I want at our club. I think he could change our fortunes dramatically. Is he someone that you think Arsenal should be pursuing, or again, is it another one that we should pass and move on?
How has this deal not been done yet? Seriously, it's. I mean, I know it's it's all rumours and speculation, but if 25 million is what they want for this bloke, how has it not been done yet? Seriously, I mean, he could potentially excite the crowd at the Emirates the same way Santi Cazorla used to, and he's a little bit quicker as well than Santi was. 25 million. If it's choice, I mean, some people are saying it's a choice between him and James Maddison. For 25 million, we might be able to get both of them. Who knows? But I think it was G that was saying, this guy's more than just the number 10. He can play the whole lot. And you said it yourself, Stephen, he can play on the left. Just make it happen. So in answer to your question, would I like to see him play for us? Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm not in the know, and I don't pretend to be. And as I've always said, anything we talk about on this show are rumours. And until we see the players holding the shirt, we just enjoy talking about them. However, I did a little digging today around Alvar. He's 25 million. Must spend 60 million yet. Pay that money. Yep. So I'm not saying that this is anything. It's circumstantial. Alvar hasn't tweeted in 6 days since a training session. After that training session, his agent put up a picture on his Instagram account of him and Alvar on a private jet. Now, that picture could have been taken anytime. So I say he hasn't tweeted. He hasn't put anything on Instagram. He was left out of the squad completely for Lyon's game at the weekend. And there's been nothing from him. And these links just won't go away. Make of that as you want. The other thing, Arteta said in his press conference or in his interview after the match the other day, he's expecting new faces.
Yep.
Yes, he did.
To go to America. Are we going to see something announced tomorrow or Wednesday?
Boy, I hope so.
Could there be something working in the background very, very secretly? And for those who think it can't happen, who knew Matt Ryan was signing before that was announced on the Arsenal website?
Yeah.
So we can do it in secret. Oh, yes. The other one. Sorry. I know yes again. London Colney was closed at the end of last week for a deep clean, meaning reporters couldn't be anywhere near it because it was getting cleaned. Interesting.
It is.
Sherlock Holmes moment there. All right. We'll move on to the last one. And a player we've been linked with, and I'm just going to come straight out with this and say, my opinion, no. Tammy Abrahams has been linked with a move. He is an Arsenal fan. He has been linked with a potential move to Arsenal. And for me, it's a no. I just don't want to see another Chelsea player at Arsenal. And judging by you guys' reaction, I already know what's going to be said. But you know what, Keith, take it away. Tammy Abrahams.
I'm a massive Arsenal fan as well, but I'm not going to play for Arsenal. There is no way in a million years that we should get another player from Chelsea, especially for, the rumour that's been bandied around is like 40 million. Why get, Tammy Abraham, he's a good player, but we've got Balogun, we've got Martinelli, we've got other young lads. I'd rather see them flourish and maybe take a couple of seasons to hit, their somewhere near their ceiling than pay 40 million for another Chelsea agent. No, thank you. In the bin.
Fair enough. G?
You know what? Yeah, it's you see that one there. That one there, I don't even know how to react to because honestly, I don't because I was saying before the live came on that the centre forward situation is a concern. It is a real concern. And it's a concern for several reasons. Aubameyang's not on form. Laka, although there's a lot to his game, he's not clinical. Balogun, glad he stayed, but I don't think we can rely on him. Eddie needs to go. Martinelli, great potential, but not the finished article. So there seems to be an issue with every single striker that we got at the club. But I tell you, I'd rather go into the season with each and every one of those issues than see us spend 40 million on Tammy Abraham. Because what if we spend 40 million on Tammy Abraham, we're just going to have another issue, which is we're going to buy a striker that needs about 6 chances to score 1 goal. So he reminds me of a he reminds me of a less talented Andy Cole.
Yes.
That's what he reminds me of.
Yeah.
Andy Cole was famously known. He scored so many goals, but he was famously known for needing 2 or 3 chances to bury a goal. Like, he was kind of infamously known for that. And no disrespect to Andy Cole, he was a great striker. But Tammy Abraham almost reminds me of a bootleg Andy Cole. And I'm just like, nah, I'm not hearing it. And I tell you, yeah, bootleg Andy Cole, I'm telling you. And listen, if I said I'm very optimistic about this transfer window, but if we put a bid in for Tammy Abraham, I take back everything I've said positive about Arteta and Edu. I take it all back, and I'm gonna be all of them need to go. Because sorry, no disrespect, Tammy, but nah, it can't happen. It can't happen. I'll send my shirt back. Literally, the one I ordered from Sports Direct, I will send it back to the shop. I don't care. Nah.
Kind of what I've been saying about Alvar. If we don't get him, then Edu needs to go. I've said to EG, I do sometimes think that they're just picking a player out of thin air and linking them with Arsenal this summer. Seems a different 2 or 3 players every day. Absolutely, it does. It gives us something to talk about. You know, we've been able to put on a show for the last 9 weeks every Monday night because of this. So you know what, we have to keep going. But no, the football gods are laughing at us. Tell them to stop, please. Absolutely. We'd much rather we kept hold of Laka. Would see Tammy busting a gut and working the way Laka does off the ball. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather keep Laka. I think, you know, I do think now is the time to cash in on Laka. You know, when he's only got a season left, I don't really want to see him getting a new deal, much as I like him. I just don't want a big money deal for another 3 years because I feel he'll do another Ozil or Aubameyang and kind of that'll be him. And I think, you know, if you look at very much the way we're going, cash in on him, purchase someone young, or give Balogun, Martinelli, Pepe the chance to go through the middle. Lottie, Gary, I'm with you on that one. NDB30 TV, even all. If you're only joining us now, I'm assuming you were watching that other channel. Not good. Wheezy J, dear God, no, that's just a downgrade. It absolutely is. All right. If you're watching live and you haven't already done so, drop a like on the video. If you're watching this later on or tomorrow or whenever it should be, drop a like on the video. We're going to do something now that I did last week with the guys, and obviously neither of you were on for the Rumour Mill part of the show last Wednesday night. And what I had done was I'd gone through Sky Bet and I'd jotted down all of the players that we are currently favourites to sign. Okay, so a couple of the ones we've talked about tonight are on this list. There's obviously a lot more. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players on this list that we're currently favourites with the bookies to sign. So, Keith, I'm going to let you go first. I'm going to bring the list up. Can you see that okay?
I can, yes.
Pick 2 players from that list that you hope or would love Arsenal to sign this summer.
Can you make it a touch bigger, please, Stephen? Just a touch. Cheers.
Am I allowed? I'll tell you what, I'm going to pick Ben White anyway, because that's no great surprise to anyone. Ben White, Houssem Aouar.
Well, Ben White, we know is going to happen, so that's...
Okay, not him then.
Yeah.
Houssem Aouar, James Maddison.
Okay. Reasons?
Yeah. Because we need them, and I want them both.
Fair enough.
Simple as that. We need that creativity, and I think if no, Max Aarons isn't on there, is he? If Max Aarons was on there, he would have been one of my 2. But I'll go for those lads.
Okay, G, your 2 players you would want from that list.
You know what? It's I can't even. I'm not gonna sit here and try and, you know, make it a spectacle and deliberately pick somebody else. I've got to go with Keith on this. I think our weakest position is midfield. I think we need a partner potentially for Partey, and we need a number 10. So for me, it has to be Houssem Aouar and James Maddison as well.
Okay. So, like I did the other day, and we'll come on to you guys in a minute in the chat. Drop in your 2 that you would want, and also drop in your 2 that you don't want from that list. So this is what I did the other night. I flipped this around, and Keith, Pick 2 players in that list that you do not want to see anywhere near our club.
Sander Berge, Aaron Ramsdale.
Okay. Any reasons why?
Just don't think they're good enough.
Fair enough.
Aaron Ramsdale might be a decent number 2, but looking at the price that's been chucked around, no. So yeah, they're my 2.
Okay. G, 2 players that you do not want to see anywhere near our club.
Sander Berge will definitely be one of them. I just don't think, in comparison to, you know, the middle players that we're being linked with, the midfield players that are potentially available this summer, I think he would be literally, like, no disrespect to him, but he'd be kind of like bottom of the barrel for me. The signing just would not excite me whatsoever. So he has to be on that list of 2. The second one, it's a tough one. It's between 2. It might be controversial, but I'm gonna have to go with Martin. I'm gonna have to go with Odegaard.
I was thinking that.
I'm gonna have to go with Odegaard, and the reason why that is because you know, he came in on loan last season. He was, and I feel like I've got to explain this because I don't want to get trolled. but yeah, he came in on loan, and I just don't think he did quite enough for the time he was at the club. And when I look at the price that would have to be paid to prize him away from Real Madrid, we're talking 50 million plus. And when I put that on the same level as, it will probably take an extra 10 or maybe 15 million for Maddison, I can't see how that makes sense. And that's not me saying Maddison is necessarily a better player, but he's Premier League proven, and he's done it in the Premier League season after season with Leicester. He just goes into the Arsenal squad and that's it. You don't even need to transition. It's the Premier League. So for me, it would have to be Sanderberg and Odegaard. I really don't want to see Arsenal hierarchy spending 50 million on Odegaard. I just didn't see enough. And I think there are better attacking midfielders and number 10s out there for similar price or a little bit more.
Okay, excellent. I didn't say mine, so I'll jump in. I think, like you guys, Houssem Aouar. For me, that's it. I have to see Houssem Aouar at the club. The other player in terms of one coming in, it's kind of between a few, and it's hard to kind of pick. We definitely need reinforcements in midfield. So you've got Bissouma, Maddison. I'd even take Neves. But if we're going to go for a striker, the more and more I thought about this, the more I'd like to see Calvert-Lewin. I've said it before. I think he's one of the best headers of the ball in Europe. And, if we're going to be in a position where, Arteta wants to play a 4-3-3 from all accounts, when he likes this idea that they did at City of, the wingers getting down and cutting the ball back or crossing it in. You need someone in the middle who can put the ball in the back of the net with his head. And that's maybe where Aubameyang and Lacazette struggle a little bit, is they're not as good early. And I think someone like Calvert-Lewin would just thrive, especially with the balls Tierney could put in. Could you imagine Kieran Tierney whipping balls in to Calvert-Lewin? So that would be my 2. I think Aouar and Calvert-Lewin. The 2 I wouldn't want, I'm going to have to go with Lottie when she says Zaha. For me, he's too greedy with the ball. He does not like to pass, and he's been a big fish in a small pond. And I just don't think he would cut it. He didn't cut it at United, and I think his time is gone.
Yeah,
I don't think he would really suit the style of play. The other one then, and this may be a wee bit more controversial, is Lamptey. I don't want to see Lamptey anywhere near the club. I know there's a lot of people out there really rate him, but for me, it's a no. I just don't think he's good enough. He's injury prone. Well, not injury prone. He had a bad injury, but he only had half a good season before that. He's too small. He's too slight. I don't think he's good enough. So let's fire through some of you guys what you have said. TSG 12, it's welcome to the show. A new name, I think, there. Tyler Adams would cost about 34 to 42, and he's a versatile player that we need. Yeah, we have discussed him, not so much tonight, but I know Keith's quite a fan of his. Mike, Basuma, and Arwar. Chris, Calvert-Lewin, Basuma. Gary wants Basuma and Awar, and not Burge or Zaha. Mike doesn't want Ramsdale or Burge. NDB30 TV wants Basuma and Lamptey. Chris doesn't want Ramsdale or Burge. Lottie Zaha is, yeah, all right. It's as bad as Benzema. Yeah, absolutely. Chris, no to Burge and Edward. Thanks, Chris. PSG12 HD wants Basuma, Awar, and Sam Johnson. You only get 2 of the list, but thanks. Chris, would you take him on loan, G? Odegaard, for me, I thought last season he didn't live up to the hype and kind of got it in the way of ESR's game time. Would you take him on loan for another season?
I would if we. Well, look, I'm optimistic about this window, and I really do think that we are in the market for a top quality number 10. So I would prefer us to sign on a permanent deal, a top quality number 10. However, you know, a deal of that magnitude is going to take time. It's going to prove difficult. It might not happen. So bringing him on loan for the season, if a deal of that nature doesn't happen, yeah, I'd be up for that. It'd be a little bit underwhelming, but I'd be up for that because I think it would take the pressure slightly off Smith Rowe, which is what we did at the latter part of last season from the January transfer market. So ideally, I'd rather us go out and buy a number 10 on a permanent basis. But as an option, as another option, bringing him on loan for a season, yeah, I'll be up for that.
Okay. A few more then. Mike, Calvert-Lewin would offer something different. Wouldn't be against it. TSG 12 HD don't want Madison, Burge, or Lamptey.
Wow. Why not Madison?
Good question. TSG 12 HD, drop your answer in there for us. Why not Madison? Weezy J, definitely Zaha because his attitude and temper, and Odegaard because he just didn't do that much. Odegaard won't come back, and Lottie Mike, Calvert-Lewin would solve our aerial presence problem in the box. Yeah. Although the one thing I would say about Calvert-Lewin, I shared a picture of the guys earlier on. We need to get rid of Bellerin before he comes to the club because if you'd have seen the outfit he was wearing today, a white suit, no shirt, no t-shirt, white suit, halfway up his legs, and a handbag.
Yeah, I didn't even recognize him.
He will in a minute. Lottie B, definitely. All right, so we've kind of gone through all the rumours from the week. We've talked about Lokonga signing. We've talked about obviously what happened with the video we put up last week. The only other sort of thing I know you wanted to touch on, G, was a wee bit about Tavares' debut on Saturday.
Yeah.
So take it away, mate. What do you want to say on that one?
Yeah. So obviously, like with a lot of these players, you know, we have to be honest. You know, Tavares. I know a couple of Arsenal fans might have known him because they have an interest in Portuguese football, and I know he played against us in the Europa League, etc., etc. But I have to be honest. Before we were linked to him, I didn't really know who he was. Hadn't really watched him play, and that's the same for Lokonga, to be honest. But you know what I saw, I was quietly impressed. And I know it's pre-season. I'm not one of those fans who overly is critical of pre-season friendlies, results, or even kind of performances, really. I kind of look more towards the kind of individual performance of players because I think that the gelling of the team will kind of come with time. But I have to say I was really, really impressed with his first half performance against Rangers. I think the jury is still open about him defensively because he wasn't massively tested. Rangers even though they scored 2 goals, Rangers as an attacking unit were kind of non-existent, really. They got 2 set pieces and they scored 2 goals. As an attacking unit, obviously he's going to be facing much bigger tests, once we play in the Premier League. But with the understanding that Tierney is going to be playing most of the games, and obviously, hopefully, he stays fit, Tavares is not a bad option to have. He's physically big, he's really tall, really strong, and offensively, he looks like he's going to be an absolute beast. Running down that wing. So he obviously, for his goal, it was fantastic. I think he was quoted saying that he's comfortable on both right and left foot. And boy, is he! The way he cut in and took that opportunity on his right foot was incredible. So I have to admit, it was only 45 minutes. It was a preseason game, but nonetheless, I think Arteta and Edu have done a good job, in my opinion, in first of all addressing the left back issue, because it was an issue at the latter part of the season when Tierney got injured, and I think we without kind of jumping the gun, we may have unearthed a really good player there, and definitely a player that will be able to come on and give Tierney a break here and there throughout the season, so that hopefully he can get more game time in the Premier League. So yeah, quietly impressed with his debut.
Okay, Keith, did you get a chance to see the match?
I must admit, I'm absolutely the worst person in the world for watching the first few pre-season friendlies. Going back to when I used to play, I used to hate the first few friendlies, and it's just a case of getting the miles in the legs and getting the touch back because you get ring rust. But I did watch, I saw the goal that Tavares scored, which was very impressive. I'd have to question the goalkeeper. But what I was going to say, because I've got literally nothing to comment on, because I didn't watch them, I was mowing the lawn instead, to be honest, and suffering with like COVID jab 2 side effects. I was going to say, G, from what you were saying just now, do you think Tavares could potentially fulfill other roles in the team, like different positions?
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy because, like I said, I didn't really know too much about him, but having watched him play, I can't remember when the game was, but I watched it on some stream on Twitter or wherever. Having watched him play and, obviously reading into some of the stuff that he said, some of the stuff that's been said about him, I definitely think he could potentially deputize, if not play or compete for the right back position. Now, obviously, in my mind, I want us to go for a Max Aarons, type player, and get a first choice right back. However, I think, he's openly said how comfortable he is both on his left and right foot. And that could actually come in to be quite useful throughout the season, because at the moment, the links with Max Aarons and other right backs is, it's mere speculation. There hasn't even been any, kind of reliable accounts or reliable journalists that have come out and said that we are in talks, or if we've made a bid at all. So we can only say it's speculation at the moment. But I just found his performance, one, impressive, and two, the fact that he can play both on the both left back and right back. Maybe there was a little bit more to the signing than maybe we first thought. So who knows? Who knows?
Could be a really good point.
We'll see.
Okay. All right. And probably what I was going to say, Keith, don't sell yourself short there on Saturday. You were also texting me at the same time.
It's very true. I was multitasking, yeah.
Yeah. All right, just to come back, TSG 12 HD has given us his answer there in terms of why not Maddison. Maddison would hurt ESR's development and game time, but I heard Maddison can play number 8, not 10, where he prefers number 8. Yeah, I mean, he does. He said before in interviews he'd rather play as an 8. I get what you're saying about hurting Smith Rowe's game time and development, but the problem is you still need to have 2 class players in each position. Yeah. And whilst we don't want to hurt Smith Rowe's development, we still need to have someone there that if Smith Rowe's injured, and he does get injured quite a bit. We need to have players that can step in and rotation and keep everybody fresh. And then one other comment I just want to come back to, Gary. Stephen, you don't know fashion. Actually, I don't know that fashion. Who knows that fashion? I would disagree with you, Gary. I do know fashion, and Cannon Chatter t-shirts are very fashionable, as are Cannon Chatter hoodies. coming soon.
That was so smooth.
Wasn't it? Did you like that, Link? All right. So we've basically reached the end. So any other comments or questions, drop them in the chat now. And we'll talk about our other things. So for anybody that isn't aware, we have started a fantasy football league, and Lottie is going to look after that for us. And we are going to do a show over the next couple of weeks. So Lottie's going to do the show and sort of talk people through it for those who aren't familiar with how it works and stuff, and the rules and points and things like that. Lottie's going to do a wee show, filling everybody in. But if you haven't signed up, get on to fantasypremierleague.com, or you can download the Premier League app. Make your team. And once you've made your team, and that is the most important thing, make your team first. You can pick your team now, or you can auto pick it and then work it out after, but you've got to have a team first. Put in the entry code, CS2YNA, and join our league. We will be doing a prize for the overall winner, and I'm looking at getting some other spot prizes and stuff for during the course of the season. We have already had, I think it's nearly 50 people in the league so far. So it's going really well. I'd love to get up to 100. Would be brilliant if we could have up to 100 people in the league. We are going to close it before kickoff of Brentford against Arsenal on the 13th. So if you're not in it before that, you won't be able to join our league, because we don't want people sort of joining later on because they happen to be doing well. We want people in it from the start. And the other thing we may do, we've talked about, is we may do a wee Twitter group chat with people who are in the league. You know, if they want, we may create a wee group chat that people can have a bit of banter and a bit of chat about what's going on with the fantasy league. So get yourselves involved. I know Keith's got a team in there, G's got a team in there, I've got a team in there, Lottie. Loads of you guys who are watching tonight have got teams in there already. So yeah, keep spreading the word. G, do you want to talk very quickly about the subscriber challenge?
Yeah, so obviously there's a lot going on, and obviously it's quite easy to forget that we do have our subscriber challenge. Obviously between now and the start of the new season, which is the 13th of August, if we hit 500 subscribers, then Stephen will be bleaching his hair blonde. So you need to get subscribing. Thank you for all of those of you that have subscribed already. If you know any gooners, you know, that would be interested in our content, who will watch our lives, watch our streams, please get them involved, get them to subscribe, because the more subscribers we get, the bigger the opportunity and chance we have of watching Stephen bleach his hair blonde. The next part of the challenge is that which I think is really, really realistic, by the end of this year, so the 31st of December, if we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will bleach my hair blonde. I haven't really decided how much of it I will bleach blonde, but you know, we can have that conversation at a later date. And thirdly, which is the big one, I don't know if Lottie's mum's still watching. Apologies if mummy's still watching. We as a team, as a collective team, came up with the idea that if we hit 2,000 subscribers by the time
it was Lottie. It was all on Lottie.
It was all Lottie. I thought I was getting it wrong then. Yeah. Well, I'll say, yeah. To be honest, it was Lottie's idea originally, but you know, I didn't want to get Lottie in too much trouble with mummy. So, as a team, we collectively came up with the idea that if we hit 2,000 subscribers by the beginning of next season, then Lottie would get a tattoo. Obviously, there will be a choice, and yeah. That's it. So if you want to see Stephen bleach his hair blonde, if you want to see me bleach my hair blonde, and more importantly, if you want to see Lottie get that tattoo, then please get subscribing. All of you that have subscribed so far, massive thank you. We really do appreciate it.
Okay. Before we go to our socials, Keith, we'll give you a wee opportunity to have a chat. If the guys don't know you and don't follow you already, where can they follow you and where can they see some more of you?
They can find me on Twitter. My handle is Keith at Mostly Arsenal, or Mad Rambling One also works. And if you want to follow me on YouTube, just look up Mostly Arsenal. I keep saying it's a new channel, but it's not really that new anymore. But I talk, as it says, mostly about Arsenal. but I tend to try to throw a few like fun stories from experiences that may have happened to me on the day as well. I'm toying with the idea of doing my first live. Stephen's been coaching me a little bit, so I might well do my first live in a little while, but I'm not going to advertise it too much to start with, but hopefully I'll get into start doing live shows and getting guests on and things like that. But yeah, if you get a chance, have a look and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, as they say. Cheers, fellas.
Yeah, absolutely do. Anybody that's not following Keith, get over and follow him. It's brilliant watch. And I can't wait till you start to do live shows. As I've said, I'm more than happy to come on anytime I'm invited. If I'm ever invited.
Of course you will be. Of course you will be.
It is brilliant, and I'm, as I say, really looking forward to it. G, run through our socials, and then we'll go into the last of the comments.
No problem. So yeah, guys, if you don't know already, you can follow us on our socials. Facebook, which is Cannon Chatter. We've got our Instagram, which is @Cannon_Chatter. Most of you will know us from Twitter, where we kind of do all our tweets, all our kind of advertising, but we do advertise across the socials. So if you do have a Facebook or an Instagram, please do add us. But on Twitter, our official Twitter account is @CannonChatter. You can follow Stephen @SB_Cannon_Chatter. You can follow Lottie @Lottie, that's 2 T's and 2 Y's, with an E in the end, _B. And you can follow myself, which is @GTalksArsenal. You can also follow Lottie's blog Spot. So I know she has literally, I haven't had a chance of reading it, but she has recently written a new blog. I know she did a kind of recap on last season, but she's got some new stuff on there. So if you've got some spare time and you want to do a bit of reading, lottieafc.blogspot.co.uk. And lastly, the most important thing, make sure you do subscribe, turn on those notifications, and hit that like button.
Thank you. And I just want to say, again, another quick thank you to Chris Davison, who joined us earlier on. And if anybody does want to read his article that he wrote on Sambi Lukonga, the link is in the description below. All right, so we'll come back to the last few comments then. Let's see where we've got to. Right, Mike definitely got the best Nuno in the league. Hearing a few hours ago, just before the stream, that Madison has reportedly agreed personal terms. Yeah, I heard that as well. But the amount of players that I've heard of agreed personal terms with Arsenal it's crazy this summer. But yeah, I mean, I've heard that the personal terms have been agreed and that we are preparing our first proper offer, which is 60 million plus add-ons, and that should be going in fairly soon. But we'll wait and see. Lottie, smooth operator there, Stephen. Thank you. FPL for Dummies coming soon. Yep. As I say, Lottie will do a show and take everybody through that, including herself. NDV30 TV, what do you think of the new home top? You missed that. We did that right at the very start to give you the recap.
Yep.
Everybody's kind of liking it, growing on most people. I wasn't keen on it, starting to grow on me a little, not keen on the blue, but from the sounds of it, everybody's going to be buying it anyway. But check out the start of the show if you missed it, and you can catch up on what was said. Mike, please tell me that's what the show title is going to be called. Yeah, why not? We can call it that. FPL for Dummies. Lottie might be, Stephen, what's the subscribers currently? I think, top of my head, it's about 236. So we're almost halfway there. And we've about 3 weeks or so to go. These years, obviously, Alison is still there watching, giving Lottie daggers. Hair, beard, and eyebrows, G. Yep, I've said that. Keep going, guys. If I go missing in action, I'll be hunting you both. Keith, how much did you Photoshop that profile picture?
Not at all. None whatsoever. Backlighting.
Isn't Lottie code word for quick? What's it code word for? Yes, that has to happen, Keith. And yes, Keith, definitely be good to see. So obviously, Keith, people want to see your show and see what you've got to offer.
No, it's very nice to hear. Thank you very much.
Right. Keith, anything else from you want to?
I don't think so. Just to reiterate, guys, just keep liking, subscribing, and sharing this channel because I'm quite vociferous in my support of it. I'm almost to the point of being a stalkerish fanboy, if I'm perfectly honest. But I love this channel and just keep sharing the life out of it because it deserves to do well. It really does. So that was all I would like to close on, really.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments. G, any last words?
No, I'm good, man. I'm just, obviously, thank you, Keith, for those kind words. Thank you, everybody who, obviously, have been with us kind of from the get-go. Anybody who's kind of joining new, hope you enjoyed the show. And just kind of want to leave you all with some positivity. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know about you lot, but I'm really excited about the transfer window. I'm really happy with the business we've done so far. And I'm just optimistic that we can, secure the signings that we need to somewhat recover a bit of our dignity and pride next season. So yeah, looking forward to next week's show and hopefully we'll have a couple of more signings under our belt by then.
Absolutely, thank you. And remember, everyone watching, if you want to see Lottie's mum Alison come on as a guest some night, quickly drop it in the comments before we go. I just want to say thank you to everybody who's watching, and thank you if you're watching this back later on. I know it goes on a bit, and we never planned for it to go on this long. But you know what? If it wasn't for you guys and the input you have, and getting your comments into the chat and opening up the discussion, we wouldn't be on this long. So we really enjoy it, and we really thank you. Great show, guys. My mum says, "Gee, the beard and tash needs to be bleached."
I can't argue with mummy. I
think we should make it a condition that she has to come on the show first. So yeah, we will be back next Monday. Thank you, Gary. We'll be back next Monday with another Rumour Mill. We had sort of planned to potentially do something later on this week with a Lottie show, and that's sort of one that we really want to go into. However, we're going to put that on hold this week as I booked a little getaway for me and the kids and the wife yesterday. So I am heading over to England on Thursday for a few days for a wee break. So we'll put that off and we will be back next Monday night. And other than that, I think that's kind of it for the night. So we'll say good night and thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.